But we're all sitting here, we're all happy, and it's close enough. So I'll call council to order. We got everybody here, and we'll have Councillor Slip read the reconciliation.
In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge our meeting place. The city of Flin Flon Council Chambers is situated on the ancestral lands of the Treaty 5 territory. We would like to acknowledge that we also work in partnership with First Nations in Treaty 6 and 10 territories and the Métis Nation.
Thank you. We'll have a reading confirming in minutes. Councillor Lippman.
Resolution 34-05, be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held August 20th, 2024 be adopted as received.
Seconder.
I will.
Councillor Slip. All in favor? Okay. We have a check schedule, so that goes to Councillor Dallas Plunk.
There's no numbers.
Yes.
Check schedule.
I don't have a number. Yeah, my wording doesn't have it either.
I have it.
So I name.
No, but like right after it says like 31-02 or
3406.
Why am I don't
Need that. That's
whatever. Be it resolved that the account in the amount of $148,086.01 be approved for P.
Seconder, Councillor Richardson. All in favor? That's one of the smallest numbers we've done in a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to say cheap month. Up to you.
1/10 of last month. Okay, and Councillor Richardson.
Canada Community Building Fund, Saskatchewan, be it resolved that the agreement between the City of Flin Flon and the Government of Saskatchewan, Canada, Community Building Fund be ratified and approved for signature by the proper officers of the City of Flin Flon.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Councillor Hanson, and then all in favor? And I'm afraid that is it for the actual business on this, so we're going to take adjournment and a few questions.
just a couple of questions.
Good, couple questions.
Let's see, foremost charge everybody in council. Like part of the life, was there all kinds of rumors. Does anybody know that actually started the fire?
Okay, who should I cast that one to? Because my understanding is no. My understanding is there are assumptions made, but we don't know the exact cause, and so people have theories.
Okay.
Am I all right with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it completely out now?
Again, I think it is, according to what I'm told.
It's under control.
So it's still lighting us?
So there's patches of little bits of smoke, so they're just continuing to cover.
Okay, so under control patches of smoke.
No, there's no open flame.
You also said. And I'm assuming what happened on Saturday was just another flare-up is what happened. Okay. All right. And the other question I had was about this resolution. Specifically, what is this?
The Canada Community Building Fund. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, the only risk.
It's gas tax. Saskatchewan, the 122 residents we have on the Saskatchewan side of Flin Flon, we are able to claim our share of gas tax for Saskatchewan. We do the same on the other side from Manitoba, but that's the Saskatchewan agreement just came into place recently.
If you could claim gas tax for residents on the Saskatchewan side?
Yeah, like we have had this same agreement for a number of years. We used to get about $17,000 from the government in Saskatchewan / Canada on behalf of the Canada Community Building Fund, which is the old gas tax, is what it was called.
Okay. That's it for me.
Thanks.
Was there a dollar amount attached to this resolution, or was it just an agreement to continue to?
Yeah, it's just an agreement. I don't have a dollar amount at this point. It may change because I think they may have changed their overall agreement slightly, but I don't know what that is yet.
Okay. So I know that SAS tweaked their revenue sharing formula, but I don't know if they tweaked this too. I wouldn't be shocked if they did.
If they tweaked it up, I was happy.
Well, assuming it's tweaked up in a way that ends with more money.
Yes.
The Lord knows if that be the case. Anyway, wanted to also ask about the landfill fire. Do we have an estimate on damage yet, or is it too early to say?
I think you do.
I have an estimate on what it has cost us, which is somewhere around between $50,000 to $80,000. I don't know. I don't have an estimate based on damage. I will be talking to our insurance people So if there's going to be some sort of damage adjustment or whatever, replacement will come from that.
Okay. And is that cost the cost of sending the fire department up to fight it, or like what are we looking at?
That's the cost of all of the work to fight it, regardless of where it came from. So the contractors, the staff, okay, fire department staff, all the stuff. And it should go up a little bit higher depending on if you have to do any more work.
Okay. And that would not include any sort of damage from the fire, like let's say if it burnt a shed or something like that.
No, just
I don't think it has, just saying, like if it had, that's just service.
that's just service. That's the direct cost to put the fire out.
Okay. And does that factor in any sort of possible cost associated with having the landfill closed to fight the fire? Or is that
No,
okay? Right. Also wanted to check in, speaking of fires, unfortunately, if there had been any sort of update regarding Camp Whitney. Last time we talked about this at a meeting, I believe you're waiting to hear from the insurer. I don't know if that's happened or not. Has there been any?
we've had an adjuster out there, but other than that, I have not heard with regard to what their decisions are and what conclusions they've come to.
Okay. Do we have a ballpark idea of when they might have that?
No, I do not.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And they'll just kind of happen when it happens.
Okay.
I also wanted to ask at least a little bit about the water rate meeting. I'm sure that there's some things you probably could or couldn't say about that, but generally speaking, just putting it out to council, how did you feel about that meeting and about the turnout, the thoughts expressed, any sort of thing about it?
I'm going to tell you that I thought the turnout was excellent. I thought the behavior of most of the people presenting was excellent. I thought the points that were made by most of them were clear, lucid, and very good, and that we understood them very well. I thought the cheap shots could stay at home. I would prefer they did that at a meeting, and we just have the meeting the way they're supposed to be. That aside, I think there was a very good meeting, and all the points were taken and considered very seriously by all council. We are not finished with talking about where that's going to go. As a matter of fact, I just told the council we're going to be speaking about it a little bit after this meeting, talking about that too. We would like to make a statement to the public because there's a lot of interest about this. And I want to make sure before I make any statements to you or to the radio or whatever, that we are in agreement as a group as to what it is, how we all feel. So we have to have a little conversation first and put it out. But none of us like the proposal we have to make, right? That has to be clear to everybody. None of us wants to have to live like that. We're going to have to see what's available to us to mitigate some of the things that we talked about, okay?
So what you're saying, George, is you're looking at doing a new proposal?
We're looking at discussing what the proposal is, waiting to see what the response will be from the Public Utilities Board, and then seeing how we can respond to their response. So it's not a closed book yet. We have to put a lot of thought towards it, and we understand the feelings of our residents because they're the same as our feelings. But we have to see what is it that we can do, what is it we're allowed to do, what position are we actually stuck in, and we really do need to, spend more time looking at it. Okay?
Let's be it.
So in terms of this, in terms of the rates that were decided, I think there was an impression from some of the speakers there, like, I don't think they fully knew why this was happening, for lack of a better phrase. I know that there was some of it through the explanation, but like, just to be clear, like, this isn't something anybody on council wants to do, right? This is more of a necessity than anything else to try to have different rates.
This is not something anybody on council wants to do when you're raising prices or considering raising costs at the level that we're talking about. None of us wants to put it out there. None of us wants to pay those bills. We're right in line with the people that we're representing, but we have to see what our options are. So we're still going to have to go through the process, and we're going to do the best we can to make sure that we can make it as affordable as we can. So we're not done yet, okay? You've seen the presentation and the PUB had to hear, they had to hear the numbers as given by our representatives. They had to hear the opinions from the community, and I think they heard them very clearly.
Yeah.
So now we have to see what is it that we can do with respect to that and where we're going to go from there.
Okay?
Okay?
Yeah. So to also ask another question about this here, one of the things that was brought up by the consultant and by several people in attendance was the lack of metered water in Flin Flon. Like there's not a whole lot of homes or businesses or anything like that that have water meters. So like trying to come up with an estimation of how much money was being spent or how much water was being launched is kind of hard to come up with because there wasn't always good data to draw off of for that. Is there a way that the city or anybody else could try to get the number of people who have water meters or try to get participation like that up? Or is that something that somebody else would have to do?
It's also part of the discussion we've been having and will continue to have. First of all, we need to know the exact cost of metering. We can't cover the cost of metering the whole community right now, just by ourselves, just willy-nilly walk in and do it. It's very expensive. So if we decide to go in that direction, which is not it's a possibility, then there's going to have to be some cooperation by the provincial board to make sure that we'll see if there's any granting available. Then we'd have to decide what part of that the municipality could cover and what part the individuals might have to cover. And it might be worthwhile for individuals to be covering part of the meter if they thought that it could save them from getting into a scenario where water prices go out of hand. So it's still there's still some more figures we need to have in our hands before we can concretely answer the question. But we're looking at what the costs of meters are and what it would take. And yes, that should help in some ways, and it should help us to find some leaks, we hope. And but I think it was pointed out at the meeting very clearly that when we came in here, we had said we have huge issues. It was very dangerous. We were overloading our system. If anything had gone wrong, we would have had to shut down the water system. We couldn't do anything, or else start running water right through without filtering it, all that kind of thing, because our system could not handle it at the rate we were leaking. But we've reduced it by, I think it's half. Basically from what we were pumping through our system to what we are now. So we were really, really working with those staff that were cooperating to do that, to find the leaks, to fix the leaks, to shut those things out. There'll always be some, okay? But if we can keep a handle on that, we can keep it down. So as James pointed out, that we stay on the one train, the first train of our water treatment, or our filtration system, and be ready to go back and forth from one to the other, but not have to use ever at the same time, which is what we're having to do that. So we've come a long way. We're saving a lot of money. I think it's $400,000 we saved last year, if I'm not mistaken, on stopping leaks. So that's in 1 year. So if we can maintain that, it also will affect the figures that we were forced to provide, that we had to give, on our historical figures. Those figures may be different yet too, if we can maintain and manage the leaks the way we're doing. So we've come a long way with during the time of this council, in reducing the cost of water running all over the place. And we know we still have an issue, but it's not anywhere near what it was.
Leaks.
So that's where we're at.
Leaks are being fixed. I know that some people don't believe that, but it's true. I mean, we were, was it 75 liters?
72 liters per
72
second.
liters per second when we came in. We're now around 35 liters per second. So, the mayor has said it before. It's not people taking an extra bath every day. It's the leaks. And those leaks are getting fixed from when we started this council. We're cut it in half. So, I think we want people to understand that we're on the right path, but we have to pay for some things that went by the wayside, to be honest. If the rate schedule as proposed gets approval from PUB, it is going to mean a pretty healthy bump in expenses for most people in Flin Flon, likely for members of council as well. Is there a plan or a way to offset costs in relation to that? Is there a way to provide a rebate or a tax credit or something like that on something that could offset the sudden incurrence of expenses with this?
That's a difficult question, because I don't think we have a rebate fashion set up. What we have to do is go back and study, because we've had some more information, even since we've been having our studies done, and how the study is read and how it's interpreted. And we really have to hear what the PUB has to say to us before we can have, real discussion with them and discussions of whether we can meet their conditions. So I don't have a plan B for payments, if that's what you're asking.
Amy. Also regarding the POB, I know it usually takes some time for them to give approval or disapproval to a particular proposal. Is there a time frame that council is expecting to hear back from them on this? Or what sort of time are we looking at here?
We've already heard back with a number of questions that we're back and forth on, but the sort of projection from other times that we've dealt with the Public Utilities Board can be anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 months.
Okay. And I also know that occasionally groups and organizations and bodies make proposals to the pub board. I know Manitoba Hydro has done this before, where they've made a proposal for what would be a pretty sizable increase in provincial hydro rates. And then the pub decision comes down and they have approved a smaller increase than that. Still an increase, but a smaller one.
Okay.
Without wanting to put words in anybody's mouth here, but if pub board gives approval to a smaller rate of increases than the one that's been prescribed, what would that mean for the city?
You know what? It's impossible to answer that because I don't know what they're going to come back with. So we are working with them to completely take a look at that, what the proposals were, and to have them understand the savings that we have had to this point. And our hope would be that they would come back with something that was much smaller.
I think we can honestly say that we want to work with, and obviously the community, we're community members. We all live in Flin Flon. We have to be on council. So we all pay taxes the exact same that everybody else pays, along with water as well. I know this council is going to do whatever it can to ensure that we can have it as low as possible while maintaining our utilities at a great balance. That's the problem. We have to be able to balance and operate the utilities. But like Council Slip said, we're going in the right direction. But I can honestly say none of us here want to have it stay the way it is. We're not happy about it either. So we're going to work if anything possible we can with Pub to come up with the best solution for the whole community.
I felt bad for
I
felt bad for the fellows who did the study, because all they did is a study. They have no, and they were getting some grief, presenting numbers, and it was boring. That's what they do. And
They're engineers. It's not known for being.
We don't like the study. We don't like the numbers that are on the study. And as Councillor Dallas Funk said, we want to work to see how we can mitigate. If we can't, we don't know. But the deficit's still the deficit.
I'm going to have more conversation about this later, but just to this point, we will keep the community hosted as to anything that we're going to do and any information that we get and any hopefully better news that we get. And we expect to have their backing. We had their opinions made very clear to the board. So we understand what they're saying. So we understand whatever we do, we're going to try and do what it is the community is asking us to do to the extent that we can do it.
Yeah.
Right? But we will appreciate the backing. As I said earlier, we appreciate the backing of those people who took a good, positive attitude and explained what it was and what the effects and ramifications were to the community. Just if we stick to the facts and stick to the problem and get away from little side issues and snide comments, which are not required, stick to the problem, we'll work together, we'll figure it. Okay? Can we leave that now?
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be good. Also wanted to, and this is tangentially related to this, but it's to do with ISIP grants. And I know that the town of Creighton recently applied for work for their water and sewer, and they got money through ISIP to do that. Is that something that the city has pursued or will pursue to do any sort of work on the water and sewer system?
We will pursue every single grant that comes up in front of us for every single possible project we can. The tool is an ISIP grant.
It's different stream, but yeah, because that was they have a recreation stream and then they have one of those environmental streams. I think that's just where the ton of grading up. I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. I'm half alive, so I'll go and check where that money came because I can't remember right now.
I can add to this general grant idea. This administration, since we've been elected 19 months ago, this administration and council, as Ms. Brown says very clearly, applies for every single grant that is absolutely able to be applied for. That's provincially, that's federally, that's other corporations that offer grants. There's not one single time in my mind, being a councillor for these many months, that a grant has gone by and not been applied for when we are clearly eligible to try. And I am very much encouraged by that. So for anyone out there who thinks that, we're just letting things slip through our fingers, whether it's council or whether it's our CAO, Ms. Brown, or anybody else in administration, they would be misled in that thinking.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
Apologies for the phone going off there. It really, really needed to tell me there was an air advisory in the pod. So I appreciate the information, but it was bad time.
There are some people in the audience who'd like to ask a question, so you get to close, Eric?
That is the most polite way I've ever been told to shut up. As a matter of fact, I do. That's it. That's it.
Thank you so very much. I know that there'll be... Mr. Nix, you had a question.